Welcome back to another Canon Review. I'm your host Terry, and today doing a spoiler talk for Sorry to Bother You. So, yes, I said I was going to do a spoiler talk because I knew that I needed time for this movie to sit in and really resonate with me. And there's so much I wanted to talk about in the review, but would have been spoiler territory. So, glad to sit down and do this now because I know a lot of people after seeing it, you want to talk about it because some stuff sticks with you. But I will say if you didn't see it, this is a spoiler review, go see it first and then come back. There's so much to talk about. Number one, I would say though, after really giving this some thought, listening to other opinions, replaying some of the things in my mind and looking at more of the director himself, especially, I would say this is a hyper parody. That would be the way I would describe it is, it is not, it's satire and is having a commentary on things, or hyper satire, whichever one you want to call it. But it's very hyper realistic, like with different things that, are just completely out there, it's taking it to the extreme. So, at first I'm just like, man, a lot of this is weird just to be weird. And I still think there's a good amount of that. But at the end of the day, I guess it was more so about showing you, and I knew it during the movie, like it's showing you what humans would turn into basically, with the way social media and capitalism is going. But I guess it was just more a commentary on, look at, how money really, gets things, or gets morality, mixed up. But anyway, Danny Glover, let me say, I did not give him credit in the first review. He was hilarious. Like, it was so refreshing to see Danny Glover like that because the few times I've seen him, and I was wondering not too long, like, where did Danny Glover go? But then you see him pop up in these random WWE movies with John Cena, these random straight to video joints, and it's just like, okay, so he's around, but he ain't got jobs. But man, to see Danny just be so OG about it, it was hilarious. Props up to him, man. I miss seeing him in movies. The biggest thing that's been stuck in my mind, and I absolutely died in the theater, is when Tessa Thompson did her performance. And of course, you've seen the trailer, whatever, and let's just be honest about it. A lot of people was waiting for that part just because Tessa was standing up there butt naked with like the gloves on. And I'm like, that looks crazy. But after I'm sitting there in the theater, and that was not even the part I was focused on. When she said, I'm going to recite a line from the Motown movie, The Last Dragon, I about fell out my chair. I'm like, that's such a deep cut. Now, of course, I think she's British, but Boots Collins, or I keep calling that Boots Riley, a former rapper, activist, definitely down with black culture. That's, of course, something he would know about. Like, that's such a classic black movie. It's hilarious. And it's like a cult classic black movie, too. Like, not even one we like, yeah, that movie's great. It's like, that is a kind of a B-movie legend. And so, The Last Dragon, which I own, and I just watched, like, not too long ago. It's sitting right on my shelf. I see it right now. That's one of my movies growing up. I watched that over and over. And so when she said that, I was like, wait, no, this is not happening. And then she recites the most random line out of that movie where that character was leaving. She was barely in the movie. She was there like here and there. And I was like, this is so random. Cause soon as she said Last Dragon, I'm like, dude, whatever line she says, I'm going to know which part she's talking about. And even though I didn't recognize the names at first when she said it, when she started saying the line, I'm like, I'm not sitting in the theater watching somebody quote The Last Dragon while getting cell phones thrown at them in sheep blood or goat blood, whatever she said. I was dead. It was too much for me to handle. Boots, that was hilarious. So a lot of funny stuff, man. And I really think about it, like I said in my first review, that it's hilarious. Like, it's not just weird or it's not just a commentary. The funny parts are hilarious. I think it's a comedy first, and a lot of good parts that I think that's cracking me up, whether it's Danny Glover, whether it's that with The Last Dragon, whether it's Cassius and his friend telling each other to have a nice day back and forth. Cause you see that, like, sometimes, like, you know how that is. People are passive aggressive. But then they just stretched it to a whole new point. That I was dead laughing though, I'm not gonna lie. He said, "You hope you have a whole good month." Did you just tell me to have a good month? Talk about some, you smell good. Is that some, this smells expensive. Oh no, it's just deodorant. We two good smelling brothers out here. I'm like, this is ridiculous. That was so goofy, but it was funny. But yeah, a lot of fun. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Last one. When Steve Ewan, I can't pronounce his name, but when the activist dude was on TV, I'm sorry, when he was on TV, rallying up the crew, they start talking about, STDs and gonorrhea and stuff. I'm just like, then nobody was saying it, they were just looking at him. I was dead. That was so funny. But anyway, okay, enough with the comedy. Enough with the jokes. That ending, let's just jump to that part, cause that's where it really starts. That ending. Like the very ending, or the whole ending, I should say, the whole plot of, I don't even remember the name of the company, but the company Army Hammer was running. With the horse thing, I'm never gonna sit here and pretend I knew that was coming. Nobody knew. That was freaking weird. That was out left field. But once he started telling him his proposal and was like, dude, that was just coke, I had guessed that it wasn't coke, and then that at the end it was going to go one or two ways. That they were going to finish up and he's going to find out that it actually was the whatever, and he becomes a horse person and leaves them because, or I should say, once he decided to like kind of rally against the company, I knew like, okay, him releasing them is kind of the same thing that Army Hammer wanted him to do. He wanted him to be a hero for them. So I was like, he's going to end up being a horse person from that stuff, or they're going to turn it on his head where Cassius shows up to Army Hammer after leading the horses and all that, and say, all right, give me the money, I'll do it. And honestly, I think that second one, after seeing it play out, would have been better, because the whole commentary was about basically selling out and what are you willing to do for money. And he kind of learned his lesson about chasing the money and whatnot, but you know, that's who humans are, and that's how it works, especially once they show that he exposed the company and the stock prices shot up. Like, that's the type of movie I thought we was in, just like, that's how it is. You can't beat them, join them. So I thought that would have been a more powerful ending if Cassius at the end was like, man, I did lead them. I am like a leader to them. All right, I'll take the deal. And that would have been, you know, a little twist, but they decided to go the other route where it actually was that. And you knew it was, cause it wasn't just the substance that he snorted. Army Hammer didn't snort it, and it was in a big circle just like it was on the TV. So come on, I think most of us knew that, but I figured that's how they were going to end the movie. I knew they weren't going to show it right away. I thought they were just going to end it that way, and which they did. I didn't like it. I mean, I almost would have been, I don't know. Usually I like a satisfying ending. I don't like people getting screwed, or the people I like getting screwed over. So when we see that he turns into a horse at the last second, it's like, that's messed up. And then you think they leave it on that, but then it pops back up and they at his house, and then they cut it and don't show anything. That was kind of stupid to me. Like, especially like he kicks in the door and like just, I don't know what a horse does, but he makes that loud noise. And I'm just like, okay. So what? They beat him up, find the cure, or what? Like, I don't know. It was unsatisfying to me. So usually I'm like, yeah, get the justice. But in this point, I would rather them just stopped it where he turned into a horse and cut the movie there. But it was weird. Yeah, all that was weird. We're not even gonna pretend that stuff wasn't weird. But I just think the ending could have been handled better. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the way they executed that, it was a little annoying. And then, but even before that, I was annoyed because it seemed like Cassius had decided to go back to work at the telemarketing place on the lower level. I'm like, why would you ever go anywhere near that company that was doing stuff like that? Like, not even the horse stuff. They're selling weapons and bombs and humans upstairs. Like, why would you ever go back to that? Not to mention it's sucky pay, even if they got a union. And it's telemarketing. Why would you go back? Like, I don't understand why that was even in the conversation. I don't know if there's some message to that, but I'm like, dude, I would have left the city. I would have left, if not the country, I would have left the whole state, went to a new state, never messed with that company ever again. If that, after the crap that I saw, seriously. But yeah, so that kind of bothered me too. But I don't know, man. I don't know. That was some weird stuff. But other things in the movie, the white voice thing, I'm happy I called both of the voices. Like, I'm like, that's Patton Oswalt. And I'm like, wait, that's not Patton, that's David Cross. I'm like, oh, but he's Patton Oswalt. So I recognize those voices. And I think, I forgot who it was. They had Danny Glover, had a different voice, but I only heard his a couple times, but I picked out the other white voices. That was good. And it was annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the concept was funny, but the dub over thing looked goofy. I didn't like that. So, I don't know. It was kind of hit or miss for me. Like I said, the stuff was funny and the visual, but it kind of also, I wouldn't say executed as properly. So that was a little weird. But, overall, the white voice, I was disappointed to see that it wasn't that big a part of the story. Like, it was kind of there and then it was gone. Because they kind of, I wouldn't say they sold the movie on the white voice. They were being vague on purpose because they didn't want to tell you the crazy stuff going on. But it pretty much was, hey, that's the white voice movie. And people was thinking about code switching and what type of topics it would get into. Of course, it went way left field, but that's kind of what a lot of people were expecting. So it was kind of disappointing to see that didn't go that far. Like, yeah, it got him up there. It was only one other dude who had a white voice. And of course, we seen him be black for real for one moment, which I'm glad they did. And then that was kind of it. Turned into a horse movie. So that was a little disappointing. But one interesting part that I would love to get people's feedback on is that Tessa Thompson's character, Detroit, at her art gallery, she isn't using a British accent. And I think, like I said, Tessa's actually British or something like that. Or English accent. I don't know the proper term, but either way, she was doing her own code switching. And because it appeals more to the rich white people. And Cassius mentioned, he didn't say she used the code switch, but he said she acts different to sell to these rich white people. And it's never pointed out, it's never mentioned. I haven't really heard anybody in their reviews say anything about it, but I thought that was interesting commentary because that's the one good part. I would say Detroit is such a great character. Besides the outlandishness, like, the earrings were funny, but a person that actually was like that, I wouldn't want to deal with. But the fact that she was so well rounded because she was flawed, they allowed her to make flaws. Like, she would mess up and like she would get, like, the scene where they were fighting in the bed was a great example because she would yell at Cassius about the cars and all his money. And he like, well, you won complaining when you was driving around town in the car or riding around town and, you know, spending the money. And, you know, she owns up like, yeah, but, you know, I'm done with that now. You're right. I got to drop it. So she was woman enough to own up to her mistakes and walk away from it. But she continues to be flawed. She does things that she knows, you know, she's not this perfect character. And so there's a thing too where she was like, you know, this white voice, she went along with it. And she was like, but now I don't like where it's turning you into, and I don't like where you're going because of it. And she's like, so basically I'm sure in her mind, she's like, I do the same thing too, but I'm not harming people like you are. And so that's not a sound argument. Like, that's not a award-winning argument. But that's how humans are. We rationalize things and we justify things. So she wasn't perfect. She, you know, she could be doing just as much harm to herself doing as Cassius is, but that's not the way she sees it. So I thought that was a great little point that really might have got lost on a lot of people in the movie. So if you watch it again, I don't know if I am, but if you watch it again, you'll peep that Tessa Thompson's using a British accent when she's talking to the buyers at her show. I think that's it. It's not too much else to spoil, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Go to the comment section. Tell me what, some of the weirdest parts, some of the funniest parts. What was your, takeaway from the way they did the horse people and all that? What was that a commentary on? Go to the comment section. Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, get the convo started. And remember, if you heard it here, it's official canon.